Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another horrific chat. Tonight, we're celebrating the release of HORRORific Tales Volume 5, Mad Science, the latest anthology from HORRORific Publishing. I'm joined by our contributing authors as we discuss the thoughts and influences behind each of their stories. Welcome, everyone. Nearly got a full house
Hello.
tonight. Great to
Welcome.
see you all here.
Yeah.
Hey.
So, quite a few bits.
Yeah.
Fifth volume in the series. We've made another one, and fantastic. Obviously, a few of us are returning authors. Some for the first time. Some I haven't spoken to in a while. Some are sick and tired looking at me. There's a whole mix here, which is great.
Yeah.
But as always, great to see you, folks. What I'll do, we'll sort of go anti-clockwise and just do a quick introduction so people know who everybody is. So start with Lee, if you want to go first.
Yeah, so I'm Lee Swift. I'm from the sunny climes of Barnsley in South Yorkshire, and I'm a sci-fi horror writer, writing all things spooky. Contributed a few times to the horrific anthologies, and I'm happy to be here.
Good stuff, Guy.
Hey everybody, my name's Guy. I write under the pseudonym Arthur L. Contributed to numbers 2 and 3, so awesome to be here. Yeah, lovely to meet you all from Wellington, New Zealand.
Yay!
Hey, and Daniel, first time here, welcome.
Hi there, my name is Daniel Spear. I'm a writer from Nashville, Tennessee in the United States. I am the author of Ghosted. This is my first time contributing to this horror anthology series, and I'm just happy to be here.
Eli.
Hello, I'm Eli Beals. I like to write.
I like writing.
I like to write. My contribution for this one is called Legacy. It's a story that I've been writing for a long time. Finally, good to get it out.
Fantastic. And of
Great to
course,
be
everybody knows Dale, but go for it.
Hi. I've got influenza A. I live in Wellington. I'm an author and film reviewer. And this I think I only missed out on contributing to volume 4. So yeah, I've contributed to all of them except volume 4. Yeah. So, and there's a few people like Eli here who's been in every single anthology. Arthur L, just about all of them, like a couple, wasn't it? So yeah, Lee Swift, you guys have all contributed, and yeah, it's been wonderful reading your stories. Yeah.
We're having a wee bit of technical difficulties, so I'm gonna try and speak like Sue, put on a higher pitch. But Lou says hi. She's from Central Illinois, horror suspense thriller writer. Appreciates being included in the collection. Her story is The Ring, The Watch, and The Window. And last but not least, Justine.
Hello, I'm Justine Johnston Hemestead, and my story is The Woman Behind the Alchemy. It's a story about Mary Shelley, and I actually did my thesis on her for my master's degree in English literature in college.
Wow.
She's just amazing. So I wanted to focus on her. And I own a small town newspaper, so I'm pretty focused on that. But I love to write. And for your anthologies, you're the one that I really trust to be able to submit to, because I've been burned by the publishing world before. So I want you to know how much that I do trust you, and I think that you're really upstanding.
Oh, Justine, thank you very much.
Yeah.
You're so sweet. Oh.
That's fantastic, honestly, because you hear so many horror stories.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, before even thinking about this, I was very conscious of, is to sort of do the research before I even started with volume 1, because I did not want to be one of those people. And I would like to think that the fact that people can actually speak to me face to face might contribute that, it's harder to scam people, I think, unless you're a complete psychopath. read if you've actually spoken to people and got a rapport. Because for those that maybe aren't familiar here, because we've had in the last year nearly 4,000 people joined the podcast, which is unreal. Horrific Tales started out as a narrated fiction segment, and it will continue once I get a better computer and can download my recording software again. But for the moment, it's sort of in hiatus till I get all that sorted out, technical stuff. But that was it. I was just inviting authors to submit either short stories or excerpts from novels. And in the scheme of
I've been with you since the beginning.
That's true. That
Very cool.
nearly 6 years ago. 6 years this September.
Wow.
Believe it or not, we're about to turn 6. And this just felt like the next logical step, because as I've talked to everybody and hearing about, how the difficulties, if that makes sense, I wanted to be part of the solution, not the problem. So that was the whole idea. That was the inception of like taking it to actually the project and creating anthologies. And sure enough, what, year and a half, what are we, a year, 8 months later or something?
Yep.
Yep. This is number 5, which I honestly didn't think we'd get to, because it could have been one of them flash to pan things, but here we are. It's fantastic. Welcome, Anthony's just joined us.
Hi.
Do you want to say hello to everybody and give a quick intro?
Howdy, Anthony.
Hey, how you guys doing? Yeah. Apologies, got a little tech difficulty, so I ran a little late.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, computers are great, aren't they? Like, never had given us any problems. But yeah, so this theme is mad science fiction horror. It's one of the, I think, longest standing subgenres of horror. Like as Justine, she studied Mary Shelley. Like Frankenstein is, like, I think the first science fiction horror story. Like that hit the zeitgeist, bar none. You know what I mean? That was, I don't think maybe people even
And Edgar Allan Poe.
Edgar, yeah.
I would say people would recognize Mary Shelley if you said science fiction horror. Like, Edgar Allan Poe. People maybe think poetry. That's. But if you think science fiction horror, Mary Shelley. But for it to last so long, and still there's still science fiction horrors being made, it still captivates people. What do you think it is about the subgenre? What it is about science fiction horror? What is it that still intrigues people and keeps it fresh?
There's a slim possibility that it's real. Because if you ever see, I remember in the fit. Now my cat's going to bother me. See, if I talk and I'm alone, he thinks I'm talking to him. So, so what happens is, I remember first thing that popped into my head were 2 movies back in the 50s: The Werewolf, and I was a teenage werewolf. And both of them had the Wolfman or the werewolf becoming the result of a mad scientist's experiment, which is absurd on every level. But it's has a minor plausibility that you wouldn't see in like Lon Chaney Jr. with the full moon and all that. So I think that slight element of scientific reality, even though it's not real, gives it a different spin, gives it a different psychology. So that's probably what attracts people to it.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. It's kind of a mix of 2 things, isn't it? Like you said, you've got the science fiction, and then you've got the horror, the sci-fi. Certainly, as it was in the 50s, it's more like it was more of a sense of wonder and where we're going and where the possibility was as a human race as we were moving. And certainly, like with the space race and stuff like that, people felt like the sky's the limit. And like the horror is like the ultimate relatability, I suppose. There's something in horror that everybody can relate to. And then combinations of things are very, very attractive to people to want to know. Now, that's very interesting these days, isn't it? Because the horror tends to be a lot more dystopian. The sci-fi tends to be a lot more dystopian than it does about wonder. And that I don't know the answer for, because maybe sadistic fascination. I don't know why people read that. I read it. I love it. I can't tell you why I love it. I do.
Sort of feeding off politics and modern culture and society and stuff like that.
Yeah. And there's probably, I mean, there was a backlash because we saw the cozy genre come out, and then like romantasy, which we're currently going through, which are like the current trends. So there's definitely a backlash to it. But before that, there was things like grimdark, wasn't there, brought on by Warhammer 40,000 and stuff like that. So for a long time, people wanted the dark stuff.
It's always a balance, but it's there's definitely something about it. You know, it's that aspect of exploration, isn't it? And forbidden exploration.
I think it could be, the fact that it's such an unknown sort of, some of the content that comes out with sci-fi, it could be real, it might not be real, but the imagination, sometimes the world building as well, is really amazing in those sorts of, in that subgenre. If you look at Dune or, the world building around that is just so hard to conceptualize sometimes, but it makes for a really fascinating read.
Yeah, the concept that humans are biological weapons, like that's a whole background. They've actually went past technology and regressed, but actually went through regression to another completely different plane. And then you could have different types, human computers, human bombs, human, and there's no aliens in Dune. That's a frightening thing, actually. There's no, everything's a human or evolved humanity. That's, Where do you think the boundaries are? Because that's one thing I've noticed about science fiction horror. It's the boundaries between discovery and obsession. And that's sort of what I pitched the theme of the book is, that it's when does science go too far? And when does it evolve into something else? I'll give a classic example would be the human centipede. That is a serial killer,
which I still haven't watched.
All right, but that's a serial killer basically using science as an excuse. Like they're not going to. There's no actual reason to do what he does except sadism and just being a predator. You know what I mean? But we're in general, does somebody start off with good intentions, maybe, or pure research? And where does the line? What do you think the red flags are, or how do you use that for inspiration in your stories?
I think that a common trope was always that which you should not know, and once they cross over that, that's where they get into trouble. Common theme with your mad scientists. But that's kind of almost like a third party analysis, because I could sit here and look at a mad scientist and say, you're going where you shouldn't go. And that's not their mentality. You get the obsession because, and none of this is really purely literary. It's human nature with some people. They're obsessive because they think they're on the righteous path, and they understand something that others don't see, and they see the value in it, and they see the benefits, and they see the greater good. And in a horror story, that, in real life, that could lead to somebody falsifying documents or something, getting fired from a research lab or whatever. That's just a made-up scenario. But in a horror novel, movie or whatever, it could be the progression leads to the mad scientist committing heinous acts. And like in Curse of Frankenstein, where Peter Cushing sets up his lover to be attacked by the monster because he needs to get rid of her. That's that line crossed. But in his mind, he sees the monster, the Christopher Lee character. Well, it could be all the Hammer Frankenstein movies. He sees it as this greater goal or this greater good that he's serving humanity. So the fact that he's become a unrepentant killer doesn't, you know, an all-around nefarious person, you know, it doesn't, there's no guilt, because again, he's looking for the greater good, but he's chasing something he shouldn't know, which is eventually bites him in the end, literally.
The horror of Frankenstein, he's undercover as the community doctor. Oh.
Like I said,
he's alive. Gave you a jump scare there.
Isn't it the horror of Frankenstein where he sets himself up as a alternate, as a pseudonym? He's working in the community hospital, and he's effectively amputating people, like unnecessary amputations on the patients, so he can get body parts. Is it the horror or the revenge of Frankenstein?
I
it's the second one where he goes in the run, basically, and he pretends to be a community doctor doing good works, but he's lopping people's arms off because he needs the arm. And
was that Peter Cushing?
Yeah, it was. It was Peter Cushing.
Okay, then that, yeah, horror was Ralph Bates.
Oh, it's Revenge of Frankenstein then?
Probably. I haven't seen that in 40 years.
After he,
oh
he basically he bribed himself out of the execution and then goes and hides, and he can't help himself.
Yeah, there's no guilt. There's no guilt. Why would he feel guilt? He's crossed that line into sociopath, you know, and
yeah, that's right. I think once you cross the line, crossed is when you start hurting other people. With your obsession. So I don't know. That's where I draw the line.
It's like in Horror of Frankenstein, Ralph Bates kills the older scientist. I think it was a scientist because he needed the brain. It was the perfect brain. And in his head, he's not really killing him. He's putting the brain into this David Prowse's body, and he's creating a new life and all that. So there's just no, there's no more remorse. There's no guilt. There's no nothing. It's almost like a God complex in a lot of ways. So it makes the mad scientists pretty easy to follow. I think they're cliched in a lot of ways sometimes.
I think you're right. There was something that I saw on crime, which is really interesting. Like every crime, there's only so many motives behind any murder or whatever. Like I don't know how many, half a dozen or whatever. Greed, revenge, love, stuff like that. And they're all probably the list of what would take you over the line in terms of science. And a lot of it, certainly nowadays is like the bottom line, isn't it? Things have to be profitable. And so, certain speculatively, there conceivably is companies that would take it over the line because they want to see a profit. So they are all about that kind of thing, and that feeds into the greed. One of the interesting things that is like the flip of that you don't necessarily see too often is I don't know if it fits into like the Greek thing, so bring in Odysseus or whatever, but you kind of like get punished for curiosity. So there's probably Alien is the best example of that in terms of sci-fi horror, where like you curiosity kills the cat, you go out and you get punished for it. And the stories of I'm not entirely sure we want to be visible to aliens, or I'm not entirely sure you want to step through that portal that you've managed to create. There's an effort for that, and that could be completely altruistic on behalf of the scientist.
Always check if there's a fly in your teleporter.
Oh yeah, yes. First thing, the fly spray first.
The fly, yeah.
Sue brings up backrooms actually in the chat there. if it's conflict between the stream and private, you can see both. Backrooms is an example as well, because even though people have been killed, the scientists are still like, we want to see what happens. I'm trying to, with the, obviously I think a lot of people have seen it now, but I'll try and avoid spoilers. But they're the team of scientists, and they don't care that people have been killed in this thing, because it's such a fascinating phenomenon. They still want to see, and to that point, that they're happy for people to die, but also happy for people to lose their freedoms.
Yeah,
which is like that. That to me, that's cross the line. You know, if you can voluntarily take part in an experiment or something, but when it's coerced or forced upon people, where people are just collateral, then that's a big line as far as I'm concerned.
Akin to Cabin in the Woods, aren't they?
That was a weird one.
Yeah. But it's the same kind of thing, isn't it?
O-Cube, that's a good example, or so.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
was there 2 sequels to that?
It's something I've not watched. I don't think I've watched it.
Oh, the first one's great. It's basically it's think like Saw before Saw came out.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Saw is kind of interesting because it's he's not a scientist, but he's essentially an engineer, really, when you think about it. So it could be like almost and if you set the clock back 100, 120 years, he would be technically he would be a mad scientist, because he'd be a steampunk scientist in those days. So that's kind of a interesting little...
and again, to the point that I made, that's revenge, isn't it? And Justine's story, I read it today and it was awesome. And that's again, not to give spoilers out, but that involves love pushing people, I think, further forward. Wouldn't you say, Justine?
Yes, and Mary, I believe hers was personal. She wanted to bring back to life the people. She lost her baby, she lost her mother, and she met Percy. She used to meet Percy, her husband, Percy Shelley, at her mother's gravesite. And this was during the grave robbers, the whole...
Really?
During all the grave robbers, where they would try to steal bodies for anatomical schools. And so there's a lot of emotional stuff in her story, I think.
Yeah, but would that be love or would that be grief, or is it both? I don't know.
But is that not with the lines? Is that not the whole beauty of the horror story?
Yeah, you're right. I just think she was trying to bring back her mother even more than her baby is. And I think that's how she did it. But I don't think that he was meant to be as much of a monster as he turned out the monster. But I also think that she wrote herself into the initial character of Walton, the explorer. And then I think she put Walton into Dr. Frankenstein, and then Dr. Frankenstein into the monster. And I think it just keeps snowballing like that. I think it's all facets of her. And I think that was her therapy. And then she had such a struggle with her husband too, that I think that he was the one who gave her the story that she got the concept at a ghost story contest in Geneva, when really I think that she probably had the story over a long period of time, and it just kept building up with her. And then she, I think it formulated over a long time, probably, rather than just a ghost story contest. I think that was I think her husband gave her a lot of the narrative, and he in fact did the introductory to Frankenstein, the first book, the first edition.
What?
No, it was the second edition. First edition was anonymous. So she had a lot to contend with.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But is that not the best way to, when things happen in life, that instead of letting it beat you, you turn that into something?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's not even for monetary value, but you know, I mean, you take that energy and
Yes.
instead of making it a self-destructive one, make something creative.
Exactly. And it was so therapeutic, and she was such a product of her time, where you can see all the news that was happening during her time. Because I mean, I did my thesis on the Arctic exploration that's in the Bookends of Frankenstein, and part of what was happening during her time was the Inuit people were being showcased, for a horrible word, in London, and the Queen let them shoot swans in the River Thames. So it was just so much of her era was in that, and there was so much body snatching going on, and so it's kind of sad, but that would be how she would work through it, maybe. And there's so many other literary works. I mean, all the gothic fiction during that time. And I have a book I love. It's called Death, Dissection, and the Destitute, and that's what I feel happened during London, during the Inuit, when they were in London. And it's just so sad.
Wow.
I don't think it was
Yeah,
just
and
Inuits. I
there's
think it was anybody who was, you know,
yeah,
it
yeah,
wasn't just it was
yeah.
like, you don't look like me. You're interesting.
But if you're
let me growl. It was like butterflies, you know.
exactly,
Exactly.
and if you're destitute. And then there were rumors about when the anatomists were done with the bodies that they would feed them to the dogs, what was left over to the dogs. So, I mean, you have that nightmare. If you're a regular poor person in London during that time, you're not living with a very good, I mean, you're living with a constant fear of death. And that's a way to work through it. So, I mean, there's so much stuff going on behind the scenes that she put into her book. So, and that's
our environments do shape us.
Yeah.
That was kind of what I was trying to put into my story, was that there was more than just a ghost story in Geneva. There's so much going on all around her. So it's huge.
Yeah. That's my problem with current entertainment. You can tell the people that create are too comfortable, live in a bubble, and have never faced any hardship in their life whatsoever, because it translates directly in their work. That's why there's so much slop out there. It's so generic, and it's like you forget it before you even finish it. There's not one part of human emotion or feeling because people haven't lived.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I was going to say that's the thing that makes the AI different from human writers. I mean, you can tell. You can just tell.
Yeah.
I think it's obvious.
Yeah, Sue says that as well. That's what the AI do, because you're not alive. Life is struggle, and no, I don't subscribe to the starving artist.
You can't explain it. You have to live it.
And some of the best stories are from people's personal experiences. You know, it's even if it's not directly relating to something, it's just the life you live. That's why we're seeing now. It's like, oh no, my coffee order was wrong. My world's coming to an end. You know, that's the only hardship somebody, you know, a lot of the mainstream creators. You see it online as well. You know, I mean, there's people that claim to be authors and stuff, but they're pampered little princes and princesses who, you know, don't actually do anything in their life, in the world, and it translates so horrifically in their writing. It's just, this is, you know, it's beige.
Yeah, there's a debate in there somewhere because it kind of goes into the write what you know kind of thing. But I don't subscribe to that necessarily. I subscribe to write what you're interested to know. So you might not have that direct experience, but
No, but you still have to live life.
yeah, like you said, where it counts is knowing what it's like to be rejected, knowing what it's like to have your heart broken, knowing what it's like to fear for your life, stuff like that, or pure joy.
Yeah, even something simple like getting punched in the face. Like honestly, that's if you've never been so much as booed at or somebody being mean to you in the playground or whatever, I don't mean you have to be life threatening, but if you've never experienced anything like that.
And Bram Stoker was around the cholera epidemic in Ireland when he was a child, and people were being buried alive then. So
yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I would probably debate it and say you can find things out about it. It depends on what you mean. I suppose if you're talking about like a sheltered life and not having them experiences, it is hard to write about them. You're right. But I don't know. I think the subjects you can, to a degree, pass a bit better. What other people think, I don't know.
It doesn't have to be the extremes. So, for example, I'm sure we've all been in a waiting room, and there's no air conditioning.
It's horrible,
sticky and sweaty.
And,
we've had to wait longer than what we've had to. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right, and so you can bring that if you're describing that scene in the room because you know what that feels like. But I'm convinced that there's people now that have never even experienced that sort of hardship because everything's click and collect. Do you know what I mean? There's people not even experienced that or queued up for something or being delayed in traffic. Their lives are that pampered. It's
you can go down a massive rabbit hole, can't you? But there's a fascinating video. I wish I could remember the channel, but it's a YouTube video, and they pretty much spelled it out and said that AI will become like the new calculator, where people, and it's already happening now. People don't necessarily think for themselves. If they want to create something, non-writers especially, they'll just go to AI and say, tell me about this, or create me this kind of dinner party recipe list. Nobody thinks anymore. The initial reaction is, let's ask AI. And the upshot of that is it'll dumb down the creativity of people in the long run, which will make it a little bit harder.
You're not going to be happy. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I create a story or put a video together or anything, the idea of taking something from a concept to actual reality, like this was an idea a year and a half ago. Here it is, physical format. You know what I mean? It's there, it's out. You can't beat that feeling. You know what I mean? You've achieved something. You've taken an idea from nothing and made it a reality. And I think the more people go down that road,
and you're honest with people along the way.
That's the only way to do it. You have to be, you have to be honest, and you have to learn to talk to people. You have to, there's a whole set of other skills that come with it, and convince people of your vision and what you're trying to achieve, and bring people on board and treat them right, and then have people treat you right in return. It's a whole cyclical thing. If people throw that away, you're doomed. You know what I mean? As a people, we're finished, and that's how civilizations die. It's a bigger thing than just convenience. Convenience is fine to a point, but don't forget we're human.
I think. Go on.
Well, everything's going digital and everything's fragmented, and by fragmented I mean it's not like when I was a little kid. When you had a limited number of television and cable channels, everybody watched the same thing. So now everything's in this fragmented entertainment landscape where everything's at your fingertips.
Yeah.
And that also that affects attention span, because if they're not hooked in 30 seconds or within a few pages, they just jump to something else. So that leads to a lot of, I don't want to say subpar work, because there's a lot of good stuff out there, but even with the exceptional stuff, it's almost like you have to write to that landscape. You know, you can't. It's hard to do a slow build. Like sometimes I'll watch an old TV show from the 70s, and it's slower build, because they had the audience, because the audience was sitting in front of the TV. That was, you know, they didn't even have Betamax in some of the, you know, in 99% of those homes. Today, everything just goes fast, and you have to cast this really wide net. So that's why, you know, you get, like, you know, expositional dialogue or info dumps and whatnot. Not always complex, because you just have so little time to hook your audience, and you need to get as many people as you can. So that's why a lot of that stuff just ends up being very generic. And then the stuff that's complex is almost always in a niche, which is fine. You know, that's she can have a successful niche. I mean, one of my favorite authors of all time, you know, Philip K. Dick wrote in a niche for his entire career. So nothing wrong with that. It's just, but if you're looking for really mainstream or big sales, well, it's kind of hard if you're not writing generically almost.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, the flip side of it is that there's always hope, because I think there's something about the human condition to want to tell stories. There's always been storytellers, and I think there always probably will be. It's how they do that. And you know, if they're only going to AI to generate the ideas for stories, you'll only get the same ideas.
Sue's saying there they actually had conversations before and plots. Now TV's just one-up lines that aren't funny. Yeah, it's all just, and that's one thing I always complain if I'm doing a review is, don't show me, don't tell me, don't give me an exposition dump, because I hate it. You know what I mean? Weave it into the story. There's loads of ways you can do it, loads of examples. Sue also asked her, do people think that there's less reading in general?
That's just something people say.
Yeah, I think so.
Not in my case.
Yeah, you get your hardcore readers. Like, I have to read every day. But I think people are losing, you know, physical copies as well are going not so well. Here in Wellington, the libraries are getting smaller. The shelves are getting smaller. The marketing, the people that purchase the books in the libraries aren't purchasing as many books as they were before. I know over in England, 900 libraries were shut across the UK, were closed down completely. That's a bit of a worry, especially thinking, you know, how much a library means to people. You know, you can go there, get a book, read it, whatever, take it out, go to the computer, and, you know, it's a hub. And once we lose physical books, what the hell then? What if the internet goes out? What if we go back to the dark ages? There's no books. There's no books.
No, but those of us that grew up during the 80s, there was always the threat of nuclear hellfire. But one of the things was the EMP, which is part of it. So one nuke drops, one EMP weapon, gone. And I honestly think that's the EMP weapon is going to be more devastating today. Like the EMP weapon at a data center, gone.
But one for the tinfoil hat brigade and Chris's thing, it's much more insidious. Much more insidious as that is that if there is no physical copies, Amazon allegedly are already talking about like altering editions and stuff like that. and you will never know. You know, authors can do it,
Yeah.
but they're you know, and that's fine if an author changes their own work. But you know, there is a time when companies that publish your book have the right to change the stuff, and it's going the way of the computer game. You don't own anything. They can take it at any point. They can change it however they want, and they can rewrite what that ending is. You would never know,
And I think,
or certainly don't get a say in it.
yep. But as horror writers, we are not mainstream. We are not beige.
No.
That's not in our nature.
No.
I think that's one of the attractions, I think, to the horror genre, is that it crosses the line, it pushes boundaries, it tests the limit of your imagination, goes to the darkest places. So that's exactly what mainstream don't want. Do you know what I mean? It's we're antithesis to that. So out of self-preservation, obviously push back against it. PlayStation, Sony have had a massive backlash over PS5 and PS6. People are not happy whatsoever, and even like it's going to damage them as a company. There's become a trend. I don't know if you've heard of it. That it's basically equivalent to what I was in the 2000s of the unplugged. There's now a Gen Z kids are now going disconnected or something they're calling themselves, and they're like looking up all the retro stuff, so they're getting physical media again. Book Talk and BookTube and that sort of thing has brought bookshops back, because you can't sit and show people your collection if it's all in a Kindle. So that's the actual, you know, back to you collect to curate a collection to show people, and actually go into the bookstores. I watch a lot of stuff about the old high street and how it's changed. A company over here called Waterstones. It was actually BookTube and Book Talk that revitalized their stores, and then they actually reconfigured their stores so there'd be like little sitting places for people to come in and stream from, and that actually reinvigorated. You know, so it hasn't gone. There's always hope, and the more people get pushed in a direction, eventually there comes a pushback. You know, because it's you will not tell me what to do. That's intrinsic in human nature.
The physical collectors are a solid niche, and they're with books and Blu-rays, they're pretty supportive. I think unfortunately with magazines, not so much, which is a shame, because the old time, you know, physical magazines like movie magazines or short story magazines and all that, they were really cool. But you know, dollars and cents wise today, it's almost impossible to do that unless you're doing it on print on demand, and print on demand always it may lack the nuance of a really, really well done, well laid out custom magazine done with where the publisher, the indie publisher is working with the printer and all that, and the layout designers and all that. But it's very costly. It's very costly. It drives the price of the magazines up, and then the distribution is not there anymore. So it's a shame. But a lot of the physical stuff, I mean, in niche areas, yeah, they have their fans. Like, I brought up magazines because I just ordered a couple horror magazines for Halloween. But in terms of mainstream culture, there's no, you don't have the mass market like you used to. Like, books and magazines used to be everywhere. No matter where you turned, somebody was selling them. Today it's impossible to do that. It's just it's because mass market paperback, I'm talking mass market like paperbacks and all that, because they were cheap to publish, and the audience and the consumer was massive, because they didn't have like people read, but I mean, how do you want to define read? Like, if you go on Yahoo and read the news on your phone, you're reading. But at one pre-smartphone, if you wanted to kill time on a train, you had to buy a magazine, you had to buy a book or paperback or whatever. So a lot of people were consumers for that reason. Like with video games wiped out God knows how many millions of casual paperback buyers. Because before you had video games, they would go and they would buy the pulp, sci-fi, fantasy, mercenary team, all those kind of books that were sold for that same audience, 30, 40, 50 years ago. So it's just what happens is it's almost like what was mass market at one time now becomes niche, and they kind of have their ups and downs. Like I was in a retail store a few days ago and I saw a turntable. Actually, I saw several turntables for sale, and that turntable was was an extinct animal for a long time, and now it's made a comeback. So you never know.
I really hope that will be the case, because I mean, just doom scrolling has just been so addicting, and I've had my share of just doom scrolling addiction, and I don't even remember what I just watched, but I just blew a full hour of my life just doing that, and I want to be part of the counterculture of stop doom scrolling and pick up a book, and even if it's like an audio book or something, even if you have to do it on Kindle, at least it's that and not go on doom scrolling.
I think it's something you have to train yourself. Was it when we cover movies, for example, that need subtitles? The number of comments we get of people, I can't do that. Now, to me, it wasn't a thing because I grew up with subtitled movies with all sorts of languages. But if you don't train, if you don't practice, it's the same as reading. If you don't practice it, then you're not going to enjoy it if it's a struggle to do. But when you get over that initial struggle of, right, I'm going to sit for an hour and not touch anything else and just read a chapter or two, you actually find, like, being able to switch off for a bit and step into another world. I don't think people understand.
It's so good for your brain. It is joyful, yeah, and it's good for your brain because you're having to imagine the situation. You're not being shown it on a screen, So I think books will last. Books have to last. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Just popping people up in the chat as we're.
And Luna and Flea.
So you were saying they're eerie and creepy. I remember those magazines.
Yeah,
when I worked in the library, many choices were made to only purchase streaming articles and journals. Yeah. Well, I suppose libraries have evolved. One of the things about the libraries over here, which maybe people don't realize, is that they've become like a hub for homeless people. So because they're dry and warm,
true.
So you've got, and it's not, it's not to denigrate anybody, if it's circumstances, but it's become like that's where we're going to hang out, and not everybody knows how to conduct themselves. It's not just about having a home. There's a whole thing that I don't want to go into, but homelessness, higher causes. But you're talking about majority low impulse, possible addicted to things, can't conduct, etc. So it becomes an uncomfortable environment now, the library. And it's one of them things of,
true.
Are the doors open for all, or are they not? And that's a whole debate. So because culture, etc., it's actually changed the nature of the library. That it's not a friendly place to go anymore. It's not a place for weak nerds, which it's sad. That's, and there's no one fix for anything. You know what I mean? It's society's always changing. Society will always have problems. Anyone who thinks different doesn't live in the real world. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
I don't know. I don't believe in giving up hope. I think the minute you become a doomsayer and just say it's all over, that's it. Why bother then?
It's not over, Rover. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And I don't like this combativeness that just comes randomly. If you don't buy a book this format, if you don't do that, you're a shithead. I don't get that. Like, what does that achieve? You just get people's backs up. Like, at the moment, we're talking about AI and the online mob. Like, it's the equivalent of a medieval mob just going around. You're using AI. Burn them. You know what I mean? They're hounding people. And it's like, that's just going to make me want to use AI more because you're an arsehole and you're a bully. I don't like bullies. So, Brad, like no thoughts on it whatsoever. It's like if you're going around picking at people, well, guess what? I now hate your guts and I want to use it. And that's not the way I go about things either.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't coerce, you can't bully, you can't threaten.
You can't put the genie back. You can't put the genie back in the bottle either, whether we want it or not. It's here.
We'll have this
It's just
successful
how it's.
conversation about CGI.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But with CGI, there had to be like CG artists specifically. Like you actually had to use, you had to have some type of talent to make the models. I actually got my degree in animation, so I've done the 2D animation and done all that modeling. It's a lot of work. It's not like you just type it in, like AI. No, you actually have to, build it. And
Yep.
So, But with AI, you just type in a couple of prompts, and then there you go, and you got yourself a model.
But do you not remember the time you were putting people out of jobs, and that was the argument? All the special effects teams, all this, that. Do you not remember that conversation? And it was all CGI people. It's just some nerd in the computer. There's my whole team of that have our special recipe for fake blood. You're putting us out of job. Do you not remember a lot?
Well, I remember people telling me about it, like my 2D animator professor, who was a Disney animator back in the 90s, and he was telling me about that and saying, like, oh my God, 2D animation's dead. It's gone. It's just going to be this. And we heard, I don't know if anybody listens to D23, but there are whispers that there is going to be a new 2D animated film, which, being in the film industry, it's, you can announce one thing, but might never come true, might never come out. There has to be a whole lot of factories until we get a movie on the big screen. So, but we do have Acme versus Coyote, which is a kind of 2D hybrid animated movie with live action. So we do have that, which is awesome. But, this is an animation podcast. You got me talking about animation. I was like, oh shoot, this is one of my great niches, dude. But, that's what. But yeah,
we cover horror anime and animation every other Sunday. So it's a legitimate art form. But there was this cool conversation back in the time of CGI artists replacing special effects people. I believe there's place for both. There's a time where CGI is useful, but you still can't be. It's you got these cartoony looking movies, and it's all down to corporate laziness. It's all about I can have 3 people do this job and blah blah blah, and we're now seeing it come back to using practical effects, but with a CGI overlay, which I believe it was always meant to be that. It was the things that you can't scale up practically. That's where CGI come in.
Yeah.
But of course, once a corporation gets involved, then it's just down to I don't have to. I could change this number to spreadsheet and get a bonus this month.
Yeah.
And then it evolves into like the nonsense.
Speaking of animation, I think they're no, I don't think I know. They're doing a rotoscope version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
the 70s version or the 2009 remake?
74. They're and I think they're doing it the old school way, where they're actually going to paint every frame of an actual 35 millimeter film print. I believe they're going to animate every hand paint every frame, if I understand correctly. So yeah, that's
weird.
Sue's going to have to bounce off here, but she's just asking before she does anyone sell their books at book fairs or other events?
No, it's not Sue going. It's Justine that has to leave us.
Oh.
And Sue was just saying goodbye.
Sorry, I'm
Justine.
I've one eyeball here there. Oh, sorry, Justine. I'm an idiot.
Bye.
Sorry,
Really
Justine.
nice to
Sorry,
see you guys.
I've just been So no, or sorry, Justine, really appreciate you coming on. I'm sorry for being stupid. I'm just like,
No,
I'm flicking between two chat buttons here.
no.
while I'm trying to talk.
Difficult.
Don't worry.
I've
Thank
only
you
got a
guys.
tiny brain.
It was so nice
Thank
to see
you.
everyone. Bye.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you,
Justine.
Justine.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for coming.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah. So what was Sue saying, Colin?
Sorry. So I'm flicking about here like a lunatic. Sorry. Yep. Sorry. That's Justine had to go. Sorry.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. Sue was asking, does anyone sell their books at book fairs or other events? I
Yeah,
tried,
I do.
and it
Yeah.
flipping internet connection killed me. My card reader thing wouldn't work. I'm like, I was stuck in the stuck me right at the end of the convention, like in the
Oh,
doldrums.
wow.
I was opposite. Everyone's going there for the Robert England experience, so nobody was interested in me. They'd all bought their tickets and spent, to get their things, and yeah, I was just an afterthought.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still
I
want to do
mean,
more. I just
well, that's it. It must work out because lots of people do it. I've never done it personally. I'm not entirely sure it's the best way of doing it, but I go to like writing conventions and stuff like that. And in those writing conventions, I rarely see people go to indie authors. If you're going to do it as an indie author, your book has to look super good because you're competing with Galant's, Angry Robot, pick any big ones, Hachette. You're dealing with big names on big books, so your sales pitch has to be super good. And I'm not convinced that's the best way of shifting units in a convention, because the tables, if they're going to go to any, going to be the big ones. So I personally, if I were doing it, I would look at something different. Probably take a hit on the printing and print half a dozen off and leave them on a table and say, look, you can take the book, just leave me a review, something like that. I would probably do that, but that's somebody saying it who's never done it, anything like that. So some people be like, well, actually, I sold 50 books this weekend. And that's fine if people do,
I'll will my suitcase in the other room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Haven't shifted yet.
Yeah, it's purely observation that I made. Because she sat in a room for an entire weekend. You can't go anywhere, while the trade hall's open, and you're just kind of stuck, especially if you're on your own. And it seems like a hard way of doing it.
Yeah, it does.
But it must work because people do it, So if it didn't work, nobody would do it. So
try it. If you can and you're able, try it. You never know. I believe in trying something rather than not.
Sure. I'm not convinced it's the best way.
I've never tried at conventions around here, but I play in a band, and it's metal, so I take my books into the bars where the guys are selling the t-shirts and stuff, and performing, and sell a few like that. I think I sold 7 copies of my collection.
Wow!
Back in July, and then 7 copies of another sort of comedy book I wrote. So
wicked!
That's the best I've done. Yeah, 14 in a month. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Far out. Yeah. That's awesome.
Just the local metal scene.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's right. That's a good way of doing it, isn't it? Because that's
clever.
Standing out. That's standing out.
Well, there's something. Sorry, go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, I've never done a live book sale, but part of the reason is I don't have that much volume. I'd like to have a lot of volume, and I get a lot of, several books for people to choose from, make it, increase my odds of selling something. But I personally would think I would have probably the best success if it was books and other things, for lack of a better word. In other words, if I was going there and I was working to promote, say, on a panel, like if it were like if I were involved with like an indie film, and we were doing a panel about the film, where I'll have, we'll be in front of an audience and get a little extra pitch and a little extra visibility. But I don't know about me like just showing up with like 5 books, if there'd be that much interest in it. I mean, it's not, my visibility is not that high. So something that would boost my visibility there, then yeah, that would make it cool for me.
There is another option as well, Sue, which I'm looking into this year, and that is doing like a book launch and discussion at the local library. So one of my books is in the library at the moment. The second one is in the process of getting put into the library, and the third book that Colin and I are working on, there's an opportunity there for me to do a book launch at the library, the local library there, where people can come and talk to me about my books and, just discuss horror in general, and that, we're not all psychopaths and stuff like that. And, well, not all of us. And, yeah, some of us are. And just so that people aren't so scared to approach horror authors, that sort of thing. And you get a chance to connect with people in your community, because in the community, they actually really love to meet authors, because it's only like it's not very often you come across an author in the community, and people want to know how you were right, how did you get into horror, all that sort of stuff. So that's another really good way to do it, is to get your books into the local library and then approach them about talking about your books, and what you take your books along and you sell them at the same time. So yeah.
So maybe not so much for international, but for UK, every copy of this goes to the British Library and the associated libraries, because that's part of when you've got its own ASB as part of the requirement by law here. So every time one of these gets produced, it actually, a copy goes to the British Library and it's in the library system. But then it's up to people to go and ask if they want to borrow it from the library, that they'll order more copies. So that's all in there. That's something else I tried to set up. One thing I did there recently was I approached, the book subscription services boxes. So the Abominable Book Club. So I took a load of bookmarks, and they started appearing in book talk videos.
Yeah, awesome.
Box, so
that's awesome.
Now all the bookmarks are. I just wrote it off as an advertising expense, where I produced the bookmarks. Going to give them away anyway, so just sent them, and like I said, they have actually put them in the boxes. So there's advertising that's actually going to readers. So if you have an individual brand, there's an option.
Yeah,
as to look at, go get a bunch produced up, and then rather than leaving it the chance, if you go to somewhere where there's actually readers.
Yeah,
I mean, because you could do a load of online ads and leads to nowhere. But there's something physical that people are actually interested in reading, and I'm hoping that it might lead to actually getting books included in subscription services. That's another direction.
That'd be great.
That's a tricky one. Indie bookstores, there are so for example, another thing is I've been gathering, and I've been asking you to send me contact details if you do back and forward emails. I've been gathering a list of indie bookstores, and whenever one of these books gets released as well, that goes on the mailing list. So I actually have a retailers tab, and only activate that when I'm releasing a book, just so they know. Another way I'm thinking about it.
Yeah,
it might be worth, if there is one in your area, to approach them. Not so much where I live. I'm out in the sticks, for sake in the middle of nowhere. It's a bit tricky, but I know there's loads of indie stores. I'm still trying to get to a point where I can actually approach one, like these. Like turn up the suitcase here. Do you want to set these at the table for me?
Yeah,
I'll give you 20 quid or something for a week. I don't know. Think of a way to percentages and stuff.
Yeah.
Waterstones do that. in the UK.
Mhm.
I know there's international, but they're each shop is an individual. It's a franchise more now than a chain store.
Oh, yep.
That's one thing that changed. So they can do a good. We tried it with paper clips, wasn't it? In New Zealand. Trying to get
Paper
through them.
Plus.
Paper Plus, that was it. They were a nightmare.
Yeah, they are, and so is the warehouse.
Trying to actually get somebody to talk to. Flipping, you're going through layers of bureaucracy. Like, come on, I just want to have a conversation with somebody, see if you want a few books.
I know. I went in there and spoke to the guy, and he's like, "Oh, we're independent now, so I'll see." And he never got back to me. And
I sent emails and we tried everything, and just had a stone wall.
What
The
calls?
way it goes.
They didn't get back to me. No.
Is this a challenge that maybe authors haven't realized they have to meet? Is you have to be a salesperson? Like, there's no if buts and maybes about it. There's no just upload and it'll magically sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think an editor, author is closer to an editor than a publisher, and a publisher is really, in a lot of ways, it's a wing of marketing. So authors have a hard time with the sales, marketing, and promotional side, because that's really, it's almost a different aspect of the business. Like, if you're an author, you're probably in your writer editor mode, whereas if you want to be a publisher, that's almost like, how do I get this distributed? How do I sell it? What's the marketing on this? Okay, this genre is not moving. We're not going to do any more books like that anymore. Okay, spy novels are selling. See if you can get me somebody who can put out a couple spy novels. That was the old publisher mentality. Authors, screenwriters, all the, they write. They edit, they polish, and they submit. And then it's outside of a lot of the wheelhouse with the publishing or the promotional end. Unfortunately, a lot of times you have to go hire somebody to do that for you.
This is messing with your internet.
So it's
someone's trying to plug you into the internet permanently, and it's messing with the signal.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I didn't know. Sorry.
You're back now. No, it's I think this is a reality though, that you can't.
In 2026 it is, yeah. In 2026 it is, because to Anthony's point, in times past, publishers, particularly traditional publishers, because there wasn't self-publishing, they understood that it would take like six books to build your audience. So they were happy to let you die on book one, and they would be like, you'll find it eventually, and they would put it out until you either got there or got mid-range, or after 6 books they'd say it's really not happening, is it? But now they're looking for like the runaway bestseller from book one, and if it's not there, they'll drop you and go to the next one. So, and they put all their effort into that. So even traditionally published books in 2026, you can't rely on the publisher doing your marketing, because the chances are, unless your book's gone to auction and done insanely well, you're not going to get that much marketing, because they're focusing on the books that did get all that, and you're left on your own, which is a sad reality. It kind of dismaying, isn't it? Because I think, like you said, most people would prefer to write and edit and write the next book, particularly if you're introverted. But I think in 2026, that's the reality now.
Yeah. That's one thing I've noticed, is the reticence just to, like, that's what we're doing now. We're just having a chat. You know what I mean? Nobody's performing. We're not, there's no scripts. There's no having to memorize stuff. It's just, we're here to let people see the basic faces behind the stories. That was always the intention. But the amount of people that still won't even do that, it's unbelievable. Yet they'll spend their time in every writer's forum. Like, you'll see them, and they've always got an opinion, and somehow it doesn't translate into, they're great when they're hiding behind an avatar, but just having a simple conversations beyond them. And then they complain. They're always the first to complain that they don't get anywhere. And I'm like, what have you done? You know what I mean? It's not, nobody does it for you. And it's back to this sense of entitlement. People that are used to things handed to them, click and collect, instant gratification, which Sue mentioned there. That's how we die as a people. That's how civilizations die, because if you don't do something, if you don't actually engage with the world, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
The relentless promotion is almost vital. Well, it's vital because it's hard for an indie creator, whether it's film or music or novels. It's hard. There's just so much out there that you have to really work hard at getting people to notice your product, which is, even if you are doing that, there's the fragmentation issue, where what I mean by that is you can go on a series of podcasts, but you're still reaching a fragmented audience. It's like you're not going on a podcast and reaching 1 million people. You're going to be going on several of them and reach each individual audience, which takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. And what I'm saying is that you're not going on national television, so you have to reach each little niche, and it's constant promotion, constant booking yourself, constant producing reels, on Facebook, constantly going on, X or going on Facebook or IG to just keep getting your name out there, and it's a lot of effort, and sometimes the rewards are not what you'd hope for, but you just got to keep going on, or the stuff just, it dies in a void. I mean, there's so much product that comes out every day. It would be very, I mean, the algorithms they're not just going to randomly pick something and push it. There has to be a little momentum behind it. And that's just the nature of the current landscape. I mean, I lament that the old mass market paperback era is gone, but it's gone. It's not coming back. That's a model you don't, like I said, you don't have the landscape where you have limited media where millions and millions of paperback books are going to sell everywhere. People have their cell phones, so they already have something to read. What are you going to do?
I'm a believer, do something rather than nothing. People seem to think they'll spend a week and that's all they need. Something comes out, they spend a week and that's all they need to be, known. What I try to do, obviously, you guys all know through here, is through collaboration. Don't just come on the plug. Come on, we'll talk about a movie. Come on, we've got a project or a Kickstarter or something. Collaborate with each other. Find ways to talk to each other. Help lift each other up. You know what I mean? If you don't have a piece of work out, but you've got a group of people, I like networking. Push your friends, push somebody else's. You're still making the post, you're still feeding your platform and but you're also supporting somebody else, and get that sort of crossover happening. Just try and make it part of, same as if you doom scroll or like take part in online arguments, instead of using that energy for that, use it for something else, and you're then doing it without effort. If it's removing the effort, isn't it? Not making it feel like an uphill struggle, but just naturally, hey, there's Eli's new episode of the Exit Light podcast come out. Cool, like check it out, folks. That sort of thing. It's sure a real comment on it. I'm terrible at that, by the way, as you know. I have to make an effort to go through a comment and social media posts because I absolutely despise social media. That's a noose around that's a millstone around my neck. I just hate it. But it's part of the pain, isn't it? I'd rather
Yeah.
be
One
on
thing,
here actually talking to people.
one thing I noticed about social media, like if I do something that's very short, like 15 seconds, I mean, like a reel, or a YouTube short or whatever. Uh, lot of interest in the very brief stuff. If I do a deep dive, not as much. You know, but over time you pick up, a listener here, a viewer here, a listener there for some of these things. But it just seems that now with social media and all that, it's the very quick 15-second, 20-second video that gets the most attention and the easiest attention, and that's good in some ways, but
It's
it
good to
kind
know
of
that. Mm.
not great for attention spans, over time.
But then again, it's the attention span deficit people maybe not trying to attract anyway because they're not going to read a book.
Yeah,
So that's it.
you're true.
But don't forget as well, it's not just always about getting new people; it's about keeping the people on board who support you. Because I think I've noticed that about authors, like in between periods of publication, there's a big dead silence. And I even do it in my own profile, which is I'm just as guilty of my own author profile. It's like there's big periods of silence until I'm bringing something else out, and I've realized that myself. It's how to not, like, once again, people who are already on board want to know what you're up to or involved in, and that's the thing. It's without just being somebody going buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. It's looking at opportunities in it to just let people know that you're about and still active and still in the world.
Yeah, they used to do that with Harlan Ellison. I mean, he was always writing something, but he was always selected for guest on a lot of talk shows because he was entertaining. And a lot of times when they would book him, I don't even think he ever spoke about his own writing. A lot of times it was Harlan Ellison, author, fantasy author. He would talk about the genre in general, and he would go off topic on all these different things. So even though he never sold even though he never pushed an actual book, a specific book or anything, you walked away wanting to buy something from him because he was so entertaining when you watched him. You had to at least check out and see, what this guy put to paper. So yeah. But again, he had that gift in front of the camera. He knew how to entertain, so he wasn't a stoic guest. He knew how to play to the audience and have fun with it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a thing to look at. It's just to be like a lower key version of him, and just giving your, being out there, just talking, conversations. I mean, not performance, but letting people know what you're about.
It's that fine line, isn't it? How much do you promote and how much do you let the writing speak for itself? If you don't promote, nobody will know the writing's out there. But if you don't, if you're not careful, the promotion becomes the full-time job. It's that balance that you have to get, isn't it?
Well, I notice it with this. Obviously, this podcast is all consuming. As anyone that's with me knows.
You pick the left-hand path, haven't you?
And I have to dial it back for when I'm good in the writing mode. I have to dial back the number of videos that go out in the week. Have to dramatically decrease. Oh, what's Colin up to? He must be writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or when it's come to the editing phase of each of the books, it's like, right, okay, I have to slow this side down. And then I feel guilty for leaving the podcast to the side and then I ramp up again after I'm done.
Yeah.
You need a clone.
That's it.
There's a story.
Clone Colin.
In an attempt to try and keep the schedule going, Colin attempts to clone himself. Horror news. Nobody needs two OCD laden obsessive creatures like me in the world. One's enough. There's Suzanne. I've talked to many people at events where they tell me they haven't picked up a high school. They're older. That's
Legit. That's legit.
That's because the little rectangle. People have that's become their thing. People don't sit and switch off. But then that's also another reason why people are so anxious today and so combative and so, people aren't happy because they're overstimulated.
Yeah.
Don't know how to step back, and reading used to be a great way to do that. You just step back from the noise and disappeared in your own head for a while, and it helped reset. And
Yes.
do it. I was guilty as well. I used to spend 2-3 days in a go reading. Now it's like, okay, I'm taking this afternoon. It's like I'm taking an afternoon. That's my treat.
Yeah.
And then after the afternoon, I start feeling guilty. I've got to do stuff. It's But still, just have that time. Music in the background, nothing else going on. I'm just disengaged. Phones in the other room. I purposely leave the phone somewhere else just to go back to that. But then maybe some of us of a certain generation remember that, so we can fall back. But if you've never known that, then it's a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Now's a good time to start.
But
yeah,
like I said, there's this phenomenon now with the younger generation, the Gen Z ones, and maybe the Gen Alpha, is that they're purposely doing this now. They've realized themselves that they're overstimulated. Nobody's told them.
No.
And they're sick and tired of being pumped all the time with opinions. Because nothing, everything comes out, it's opinionated. It's never just, here's the thing, make up your own mind. It's you will think this way or that way. And they're now, like I said, they're the ones that go around looking for CDs. They're the ones going around for looking for tapes and books. They're I see it all the time in the shop. It's flipping like young kids coming in, they're buying CDs and stuff, getting really excited. So that's without any government schemes or national incentives or blah blah blah. That's just people deciding themselves. Now we're going to do this, and then they find a peer group. Oh, this is cool to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying that people have become very fragile and hesitant. Yes, because everything's combative. You can't have a thought. You can't formulate a thought or an idea or pose something out there without somebody jumping on you. That's if you do it on social media, because that's the nature of the beast. That behavior gets rewarded. That's what gives you the dopamine hit. That's what gives you the people coming back to you. That's what the algorithm pushes, because it's known as engagement. So yeah, that's in that world. It's hard just to go, I've been thinking about this. I'm not too sure. How do you not be sure? Blah 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 blah. Just the days of philosophers is gone, because that's just not the way people engage anymore. But I think it's self-correcting. People are getting back to it, so we just carry on. That's the thing. It's don't worry about chasing trends, but just being consistent and carrying on and not stopping. Trends changed, and if it's 10 years down the line, as long as you're not putting yourself in debt and danger and still have a roof over your head, and and have the basics, then I don't see what's been done wrong. Yeah, it might be feasible to be full-time career, but I think these days you don't have to be. It's still always an option now that we've got so many avenues open to us.
Yeah, that's right.
Before, self-publishing, small press publishers, that were not an option. You know what I mean? So we have mass prints gone, but still there's a whole new world opened.
Yeah, the flip side of technology is it's never been more accessible to publish a book than now. Never.
Yeah.
The gatekeepers are gone, which is good.
Yeah.
Good in some way, a lot of ways, because there's no barriers. You don't have to write 30 novels and with the hope of one publisher grabbing one of them.
Right.
Unfortunately, some stuff that's not ready for prime time goes out there and it gluts the market, and that unfortunately makes it harder to sell. You got more books and you have varying quality control. What I mean by quality control, I mean I don't mean like this book is no good, I didn't like it. I just mean in terms of a professionally presented product. That's like I said, this is the landscape of today. It's the digital era, and I look at streaming. Streaming to me is it's cool. I dig it. I watch a lot of stuff on streaming, but I miss the days of the drive-ins and the single screen indie theaters and a smaller
DVD
cable
shops.
all that stuff. But we're just in a different landscape right now.
Yeah,
it's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
Well, to piggyback off of what you were saying about drive-ins, about 30 minutes away from my house, there is a drive-in that does a double feature, $12, and it always has a fairly sizable crowd, and I tend to go there frequently during the more warmer months. So they're still out there. You just got to find them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a resurgence during COVID, and it turned out that the ticket sales and the attendance was a lot higher than people expected. So few more enterprising folks got into opening drive-ins, but there are a few old traditional drive-ins that have been around since forever. Like I remember I went to one in Chula Vista, California, several years ago, and it was fun. It's a different experience, but the culture where you had 3,000 of them operating during the glory days, that's where it was an element of teenage life and just family, whole family pile into a car and go watch 3 Disney movies in a row or something like that. Like those days are, that was a product of a different era. Today it's still around, a little nostalgia, but we are firmly in the digital age today, and that's the way it goes.
Yep.
Fantastic movie from 2017 called At the Drive-In. Not familiar with that one. Yeah, but they'll be adapted, we move forward. That's the thing. That's it. But the fact we're able to do this was never a thing before.
Yeah.
Nope.
I mean, meet everybody that's actually taken part in an anthology. That was never possible. So that's where I'm grateful for technology. I'm grateful for the digital age, because it enables us to cover 3 continents of the world. And just have a chat like we're in the living room. So I like to see the positive stuff, and like I said, this gathering, you guys coming together, taking part in this, and sharing stories, and it's great. It's partly right down to the basics of the shamans, isn't it? That everyone's gathered around the campfire at the, retell the stories. They're passed on to the tribe. It does harken back to that, but we're just doing it in the digital era.
Yeah.
Talking of which, this might be a good idea to actually talk about some of the stories. What do you think?
Why not?
In some horrific fashion, we've went on about 9 different tangents, which is as many stories in the book. So, I'll just go around the robins. Let's start with the code breaker.
Okay.
Well, obviously, we're avoiding spoilers, folks, because get out here and buy this.
Yeah.
Buy it.
Yeah.
So I can buy silly things.
Accidentally on purpose.
What would you want to know about it?
What was sort of thought? Because it's an interesting. You're sort of hitting the nail on the head with sort of modern technology and mobile phones and bringing that into it. So where did the sort of idea come from?
I'll try not give spoilers, but it kind of is. It's actually theoretically true. So it came from a video I watched, and it's about quantum computing and quantum theory. So has anybody seen like
whoever discovers quantum computing basically rules the world right now? That's what the race. That's the arms race.
There was an experiment where they passed light through like a slit in a piece of card, and they examined the particles that they hit on the other side, and they basically found in a nutshell that if you were watching the particles, they behaved in a certain way, and they behaved in a completely different way if you weren't watching the particles, right? Now, what does that have to do with my story? Absolutely nothing. But what they found on future examination is that, in actual fact, they tried different ways of manipulating that experiment. And they found that the particles can effectively, and this is true, go back in time and change themselves based on if you're watching it or not. So they shot the experiment one way So they know that it recorded it as if it wasn't watching it. And then when they looked at the things, it would rearrange itself retroactively. And they're like, that's crazy. And all the upshot of all this kind of stuff is that they basically found, it's called quantum entanglement, where basically for something to be true in one place, something miles and miles and trillions of miles away has to be true as well. And the upshot of all that is effectively, in a nutshell, the universe theoretically renders itself just like a computer game. So in Grand Theft Auto, they don't put the entire city on a disk or on a database and you just happen to go around it. It doesn't work that way. It generates itself as you get to the next bit of the city. And they found evidence to say the universe works exactly the same way. So the theory is we could theoretically be living in a simulation and you wouldn't know it. And I was like, that's fascinating. So the story kind of explores some of that stuff. Mm-hmm. What happens and how you explore it, you'll have to probably read it. But yeah, I just found that like really, really interesting. And what would that mean if we are in a simulation? What could we do about it? What's the upshot of it all? Does it matter? Bills still have to be paid, Yeah.
If they deprogram the bills, please.
Yeah, exactly. That
would be nice.
That's right. But
it doesn't know how, like a completely different idea sows the seed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how it works, just a completely different story, but it's just that stimulus.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why engage with the world, read, look up things, because that's, you never know.
No, that's right.
And then, of course, Guy, we have Divulged in Calamity.
Thank you. Yeah, I had this story in my mind for many, many years, almost 20 years, I think. I think I first thought of the idea back in 2008 when I was studying, and I tried writing it a few times and just couldn't sort of get it finished and completed and good. And finally, thanks, Colin, for the I don't know, you sort of gave the motivation, inspiration to get the thing to get it really, really done and good. And I'm really, really happy with it, man. And it's a real honor to have you accept it and submit it, because it's sort of meant to
I've enjoyed your stories from you first submitted them.
Thank you. Cool. Yeah, so I'm just thinking, how much should I say for
I have to think about a short story, isn't it? Because if you could spoil it in one go. Yours takes a nice turn, sort of a monster story, and it's almost there at the beginning. You kind of know where it goes, and I'll not lie, it's not a disappointment when it does. I'll just say
cool.
that.
Thank you.
You kind of know, right? It's going this direction, but yes, it went that direction. Yes, that's the way I thought about it.
Yeah. I think it's not. Yeah, I don't know. I'll give you a little bit of background that may have inspired it. I did a biology degree, graduated a while ago, long time ago, and I was freaked out. I was kind of, at the time I was experimenting in veganism, vegetarianism and stuff like that. And of course, first year bio, you have to dissect a rat. And I looked at this poor thing. I thought, nah, man, it's sort of going against my morals, my beliefs at the time or whatever. So I went outside, and I think I, thought to myself, probably had a cigarette or something. I don't know if that's hypocritical, but whatever, man. And then came back to the lab and thought, I made this commitment, so I'm going to dissect this thing. It's already dead and, processed. And after that, it was fine. But when I cut the rat open, there were little babies inside it, like little baby rats. It was pregnant. Yeah. So that just stuck in my head for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what it
So
goes.
maybe that was a part of the inspiration there. Yeah.
Once again, it's something, you know what I mean? It's you by engaging in the world, you know what I mean? You're doing something, you're pushing your comfort zone, and that's something that's went into your head, and that's, you know, you either let it destroy you or mess you up, or else you use it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And even if it's something like creating a short story, that's, you know, that you've taken that energy, you put it into something, and that's uh by just stepping away and not just going, nah, this isn't me, blah blah blah. You know, right? This isn't cool, but I'm going to do it anyway. You know, push it past the boundary. I think you grow from it.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Daniel, of your story, Ghosted, I have to say, it wasn't the direction I was expecting to go in. When you think of Ghosted, you know, online dating, that I thought it was going to go that way. But you managed to turn the story completely around. Do you want to give a wee bit about your sort of inspiration that behind it, where the idea came from?
Just kind of really thinking about what would it be like to talk to an extraterrestrial life, and what would it be like? Would it be like the answers that we received from it, or whatever what we would be communicating with? Like, I really don't want to go into spoilers for those in our lovely audience who hasn't read it yet, but I kind of worked real hard to kind of do more play on words on in certain instances, and etc. etc. So it involves, actually, to kind of give maybe a little hint, it does involve one of the particular things that we did talk about more or less through at the beginning of this whole live stream. So that's really all I really want to say about it. Just put a lot of hard work into it. I want to thank actually Anthony for introducing to me to this opportunity. And it's, yeah, and so I wrote this little short story, and now I'm hanging out with all y'all. So that's really all I really want to say about my short story, especially kind of the content matter that it involves. But if I could say one other thing that really inspired me is just kind of when you figure out the twist, it kind of just, the direction where I see the twist going in our modern society. Because I've seen it, maybe like, I saw it like almost a little bit like 10 years ago with one certain thing, and now it's different. It's gotten a whole lot worse. Like when I first saw it in this particular way, it was just kind of seemed like, oh, that was just a funny one-time thing, but now it's grown into like everybody is, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are doing this and they're proud of it, and it's a little tragic in a way. So
I can kind of see where you're going with that there. Also, what I was fitting in is this instant gratification or accessibility. For example, like I said, if I want to read for an afternoon, I put my phones away. But if somebody messages, there's this expectation that you'll answer them immediately. You know what I mean? And next thing you know, you've got somebody completely losing their mind.
Yeah.
Because you haven't answered them, and they don't think, yeah, I don't have this thing in my hand anymore because I've purposely set it away, or it'd be inconceivable that you're not always going to answer. Yeah. And I have experienced, I think what you're alluding to, people having that sort of fallout, but the way you did it with the twist in this is fantastic.
Like, I appreciate it. I'm glad you
really hit the notes. And like I said, the actual title of the story is relevant, but the way you told it, I was not expecting that, and I really had a fun time. And take it out, completely different context where I thought you were going to go. No, you took it somewhere else, but you still managed to bring that line being crossed into it, which was great. Purest emotions of intentions, and then no, completely out the other side.
You never know what I'm going to do next.
That's cool. Ozzy, Eli, your story, Legacy.
I guess the question that I was asking with this story is, what would happen? Like, so we're very concerned with immortality, and mad science is that's a common thing with mad science, to live forever. And there's this discussion about transference. So, like, oh yeah, we're going to upload our consciousness into a computer. Will that make you just a copy, or the experience of living, is that transferred too? And I kind of thought up of a interesting way to answer that question, and it's through like a biological process that we are contending with all the time. Kind of gross. If you've ever read The Dark Half, you ever read The Dark Half? Stephen King?
No.
No. I was thinking more The Shining, The Overlook Hotel.
Yeah.
That's where I sort of got my
the setting.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And I thought, so I've tried to write this a bunch of times, and it's just like, I think I just found the right combination of where to kind of like anchor the story in a sort of hindsight, and as a sort of like slow reveal of like what he's actually done. And yeah.
No, it's cool. Once again, it's that's something we're facing today, isn't it? Like, there's so much stuff being put out there that is disconnected from living, and you can tell.
Yeah.
Like, it's go back to even like the Matrix, when Agent Smith's talking about all the programs that were rejected because people aren't actually living. There's no utopia, and if there was, we would reject it because that's not the human condition. That's not what it is to be alive. And like, we've got people, another example would be, those people that freeze themselves, like chop themselves up and freeze themselves in tubes. They all did it in the like late 80s to be defrosted again at right about this time to live forever, you know what I mean?
Cryogenics.
Will those people actually be alive? Well, you know, or will they be automatons? We don't know, because that's one thing we'd never be able to figure out, is what is the spark of life? That's the ultimate question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yep. And then
what if it never goes out?
Are we an accident of just electrical impulses and chemical reactions? Is there something more? We don't know. And then Dale will have the Miracle Project, which this is a different format than what you normally write in. This is a different style. That's one thing I noticed.
That's because I flipped it. Yeah, so I originally I'd written in most of the story, and then I thought, hold on a minute, what if I flip it and go backwards in time, just to be? I've done that with another story of mine, the serial. The Curious Life of a Serial Killer. I had actually done that there too, a little bit.
Yeah, so keep talking. I'm just
yes, a fiction.
Nice story.
Yeah, so my inspiration came from our MP, Labour MP, back in 2018, wanted to bring back the moa, with the giant moa, which is the biggest flightless bird, if it was still alive, in the world. About 600 years ago, it died out. And I was always fascinated with Trevor Mallard. I actually got to know him at work. So every time I used to see him, I used to think of him bringing the moor back. So when this theme came up, that's exactly what jumped into my mind was, what if Trevor did bring back the moor? What would happen? And so I'm not really giving too much away because it's quite detailed inside the story. But basically, the moor, this I've changed his name to Arthur Miller. Anyway, just so that he couldn't come back to me later. And
We have had
what
an author,
happened?
a previous author on here get attacked by an MP.
Really?
What?
Yep,
Really?
because he was a bit too close to the knuckle to certain things, and the MP went after him.
Ooh, oops. Never mind. I don't care. I love controversy. I don't care. Yeah, so then I thought, well, okay, if the giant moa came back, what would happen? It would be doomed. New Zealand would be doomed. So they had to bring back something else to get rid of the moa, and that, of course, is the giant hast eagle. So I brought back 2 extinct species, and then you'll have to see what happens. But basically, I've gone from 2040, I think it was 2040, all the way back to 2016, when the original idea came to light from Trevor Mallard. So, yeah, it was interesting to write. A lot of research went into it, obviously, because I don't know the full, the procedures of bringing an extinct species back to life. So I read a lot about the dire wolves, the 2 dire wolves that they brought back, and then I started looking into other species, like in America. In Australia, they want to bring back the Tasmanian tiger. There's also talk about the dodo bird, and the mammoth, woolly mammoth, being brought back as well. So that really fascinates me in general, just the fact that there is a possibility of bringing back extinct species, and what does that mean? What does that look like ecologically for the rest of the country, for our native species, and all that sort of stuff? And then at the end, I just thought, what if I make it different? Because what if they come back different? As in the moa can swim now and fly, whereas they never used to be able to, just stuff like that. And yeah, so, and then a calamity happens basically, and yeah, they sort of spread out across the world. So that's basically my inspiration behind it. Yeah. Something different. Yeah.
Well, it's cool. It's very Michael Crichton, just
Well, because a lot of the characters get killed off, which I really, really enjoyed. That bit was at the end of every after the break, we're going to have blah 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 come and talk to us about it, and then just before they go on, or when they get off screen for a break, they all get killed, and it's just like, it's just so much fun killing people in stories.
Just I'm glad you clarified that.
Hopefully, it's just left enough gap there so I can clip it.
Yeah.
Yay! Oh no. Well,
sometimes dead is better.
Oh no, right? Yeah. So that was my little contribution. Something different.
Cool. And then Tony, you had the Horrors Inside the Mountain, which is almost like a James Bond story.
Yeah, what's right?
That's what I was.
Yeah. What happened was I used to dig a lot of the old B horror movies. Like that always had that mad scientist trying to create like a hybrid human animal for never really had a logical reason for it, like the alligator people or Bloodwaters of Dr. Z, where he's turning himself into a catfish monster. And I wanted to play around with that, but I went down a rabbit hole maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, where I was on eBay and I was in a paperback collecting mood, and I started picking up a lot of men's adventure and a lot of Cold War thrillers from the 70s and the 80s. And I kind of enjoy doing cross-genre work. So I said to myself, why don't I play around with espionage and Cold War material, the serious thriller, with mashup with like a B movie type mad scientist creating an animal hybrid monster for in this case because of kind of a biological warfare type scenario. So yeah, it really mashed up several different genres from the old pulp era. So yeah, so it was a lot of fun to write. I really enjoyed writing it. It was definitely different. I guess I got to flex a little bit of the espionage muscle while doing it. So it was kind of cool. Yeah, I really dug it. Yeah, the experience. I dug the experience of writing it. I don't know if everybody will dig reading it. That's up to them. But
no, I had a
hopefully
lot
they
of fun
will.
with it. And like I said, I could translate it into like a James Bond adventure, something like a, here to do a normal mission. Oh crap, this is mental, sort of thing. What am I involved in? But then still trying to, still have to deal with this. Oh crap, it's got even more crazy. What do I do now? Sort of thing.
Yeah, it gets progressively nuttier. But what I did was I tried not to. Well, I can't say I didn't use any horror beats because it's a horror story, so it's got a lot of horror beats to it. But it borrows a lot of story type beats from action, adventure, and espionage, which kind of makes you doing this sometimes because it's you're expecting a normal spy story and you get like a lot of horror. So it has that weirdness to it. That's why it was so much fun to write. I enjoyed doing it.
It would make a really good Call of Cthulhu or Chill Adventure RPG, tabletop RPG. I could picture trying to go through that and just expand it out a bit. That a team of investigators encounter all that would be really cool. I sort of pictured that. You know what I mean? Definitely visual, definitely cinematic when I was reading it.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah, I borrowed. I shouldn't say borrowed, but I borrowed. Yeah, from
was
cinematography. And cinematography. I mean, I always thought of like some really that was also really cool with a lot of action and espionage stories. Was they always gave you that 70 millimeter, image to create the background because they always had the exotic backgrounds.
Yeah.
And when I was writing it, I always kind of thought like, well, what if I was storyboarding this to have like it shot? What if it was real? So I tried to bring it out like that. And then, I guess that's where it gets a kind of a cinematic edge to it or stylistic tone to it in some spots. Yeah, it was cool. It was fun.
Right, I'm gonna be narrator for a second because
okay.
The ring, the watch in the window. So she types with the idea of everyone wanting to stay young and healthy was the impetus of my story. A man who is rich will go to any level to acquire more years, but when an opportunity presents itself, he jumps at the chance. Little does he know the real price of life extension. She likes the concept that less is more, like old school tales, not heavy with gore or grossness, but a creepy factor. Yeah, so I really enjoyed your story. I like the twist at the end. I like the idea of the build up because we got a nice little build up. It wasn't just your straight away happens. Got obviously without spoilers, the opportunity doesn't just happen immediately. There had to be a couple of visits, had to be a couple of conversations. And the main character had doubts. So that's the thing. They didn't just jump into it. It was like, are you really doing what you're saying? Can I speak to some people? Oh, it's secret, right? Okay, so you say, and it wasn't about the money. This person had enough wealth, but it's the whole idea of being duped. Nobody likes to be made a fool out of. And that was his whole inspiration, if that makes sense, go behind it. But yeah, the actual reveal at the end wasn't what I was expecting, and I liked the way it turned. So yeah, a lot of fun.
Yes.
And it's some dipshit writing a story at the end of it. Don't know if you want to hear about that.
Oh, we do.
Hurry up.
So my whole thing was the blood circuit. Do you remember back in the 2000s when Intel in particular, the microprocessors, they were actually getting to the point it was subatomic, almost subatomic. Like they couldn't get the atoms any closer together to pass the information. So they started to look at amoeba, first of all.
I don't remember that bit.
Yeah,
But okay.
they're actually looking at single cell organisms to replace the actual components of the chips.
Wow.
So that's what I was starting to look into. But lo and behold, guess what? The USSR were doing other experiments with like memory slime that could solve problems, and then I kind of went down that rabbit hole of, oh right, of course the Russians are going to do mad shit.
Yeah.
And in the mainstream, there's like, how do we make these processors faster? Because the like from Windows 3.1 upwards, it was just an absolute race.
Yeah.
Technology, and the technology was moving faster than what people could keep up with, and the platforms weren't keeping up with the coding. Just the programs were becoming complex that this hardware wasn't being built fast enough to run it. And you bought a computer and it was already obsolete because the next one was already in production. That's how fast it was moving.
Yeah.
And that's what they're actually looking at, was using single-celled organisms or using some sort of biomass to transfer the thing. And of course, it was all kibosh, because then it just took somebody with a cold to wipe out the entire network. It would have to be, hemostatically sealed, the cost of the production, and then maintaining. How long is the life cycle? Like, these things don't reproduce forever. Everything has a thing. So it just became, it was more of a hassle. And then there was the ethical side. Is that how you create, if you pump information through a living organism, do you make something else?
Yeah.
Does it have, does it then have rights and stuff, and you have to put it in the payroll? And then does everybody actually have an employee in their room?
Wow.
So that's the thing. I just remember all that from the early 2000s. So that's where the inspiration for my story came in. Is like, how do we do this with a horror twist? What if somebody, like, because this was being done legitimately, what happened if somebody decided, you know what, I'm going to take this, and sort of, once again, another fallback of the fall of the Iron Curtain was a lot of this stuff sort of went on. People that were fettered became free.
Yeah.
And how does that sort of relate? So, that's, I sort of had a bit of a Hostel vibe. I was thinking of the Hostel movie, and that, that's.
Oh, definitely.
Does it work?
Well, that's a brilliant deep dive. I only remember Y2K, and the fears over that, over the Millennium Bug,
I might be a bit of a nerd. Just saying.
Just a tad bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh!
Oh, what am there? Oh my god.
The Russians got you.
Me out.
What happened there?
Right.
That was eerie timing.
You've been shunted onto a CIA server. That's
yeah, fine, mate. Right. Have you listened to anybody?
Yeah, Dell.
Dell.
Unfortunately, I have to bolt right now.
Go.
Oh. All right, no worries. Yep. Thanks, mate. We'll be wrapping up soon anyway. But thanks for coming on as always, and thanks for
nice to see you again.
Cheers,
See you.
Yep.
See you, bud.
Bye.
Bye, bit. Catch you later.
I thought you did that on purpose, Colin.
No.
You just kind of went bump, and then we were all gone. Because I said you're a little nerd, and then you went poof.
That must have been the magic
He
word.
activated the blood
We will
circuit.
have none of that on our platform. Poof.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Oh dear. Technology's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's why we should abandon everything and just rely 100% on technology. So he's going to do. Yeah. I suppose the last thing and most important thing is what have you got coming up next? What's down the pipeline? So
You and I have a biography to finish.
Yeah, that's true. We're here, but in fairness, it's not like we haven't been working on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh no, we have been.
We have been very productive lately, so that'll come quicker than you realise.
Yep.
Back and forth. Lee, we'll start with you, mate. What have you got?
Yeah. So go on.
I know you had to take a bit of time back because you've got a certain project you've been.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So I currently help run a writing group, so I'm kind of helping with that. But I've got a novel that I'm trying to edit and submit out. But I've also got a story a story idea that I'm working on and writing it up. And it was actually an anecdote from Creep Show that gave me the idea of it. So I'm kind of building that in. Yeah. But it's kind of like stagnating on the planning. I'm very much a plotter, and I'm like, how is this going to work? So I'm stretching my head a little bit on that one, trying to make it work. But I really like the premise, so yeah.
Excellent.
Cool. Eli?
Oh, so I was working on 2 novels, and then I had another idea, and I just decided to put those 2 novels together. So now I'm working on a very big one. Also, yeah, that's not going to be done anytime soon. So, yeah, I'm continually producing my podcast as stories kind of trickle out, and yeah, that's. I was saying that was like bi-weekly, then it turned into monthly, and now it's just like whenever I can get one done. Consistency is difficult. I will say that. It scales.
Being a podcaster, it's a massive commitment. I don't think anybody unless you do it appreciates that.
Yeah, and it's. But I like being able to like take my time and do the sound design and just make it as the best as I can make it with what I've got. And yeah, the last one I did was really fun. I did some sound compositing to kind of generate new sounds. That's always fun to do.
Yeah, that's why I want to get my software back down again. That's because I miss doing that. Like Foley, and then taking the Foley and doing sound effects and doing layering and that. Like that's what I did with the narrative fiction. It just when I get a decent computer again, that's what I want to get back into, because that was one of my first loves, is that Foley artistry, and I miss doing it, to be honest.
Yeah, have you ever heard of or listened to the Grey Rooms?
No.
Oh, it's a story anthology. Amazing sound design. Like from the little electric lights buzzing in the background. It's just like you just know what you're going to be listening to, and that I was actually supposed to be a part of their project, but they vanished right off the face of the earth. Yeah.
Sometimes, especially those are labor intensive pieces of work. I take my inspiration back from back in the radio play days, because people would do that live. You'd have a Foley guy in the corner and doing it live while the broadcast, while the actors were reading it out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to me that was a different level of art. That was like bang on the money. You didn't have any room for error. You had to be on your top of your game.
Oh yeah.
And just some of that stuff was like, love it. But I want to get back on that myself. But once again, time is another factor.
Yeah. So there's that. Let's see. I'm developing a video game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Choice.
Cool.
Can you let us know what the theme is?
How awesome.
So the game title, it's called Lucidarium. And it's about alchemy. So what I want to do is I want to bring a digital persistent thing to where players can have this sort of like experience of authorship themselves, and also the objects would have some kind of provenance. So like to be actually creative within a digital environment. That's kind of the end goal. I just want to see if the idea works, because it's been tried many times, and unfortunately the type of things that are driving those games are cryptocurrency or just some gimmick thing. They don't try to make a good game first. They just try to get you to just jump in, and the selling point is the monetization of it rather than the quality of the game. So that's another long-term project. But in the meantime, I have a concept I want to run by you guys. A writing tournament.
Ooh.
Right.
Well,
It would be it's a double-sided one. So not only are the writers competing, but so are the judges. So then what you get is this reduction of quality on both ends. So it's not this sort of like gated jury. The jury is also competing to be the most objective, and so how this works is the first round is a qualifying round. Let's just say you get 100 submissions. Those 100 stories are read twice, blind scoring. So what you see is like similar scores. That's kind of like an objective score. If there's a polarization, let's say one's rated at a 1, one's rated at a 9, you've got this disparity. So that means one thing, that the judges were biased. So you eliminate that.
Oh my god!
So it would proceed through blind consensus. Got this whole thing worked out. I just need to test it.
Oh my!
Yeah, that'd be take a bit of planning. Then obviously, would it be like results be done on something like this? Could that be the idea?
Yeah, I think my first test, I'll probably run it on Reddit, just to get like a small sample, and then it'd be scaled. There's already one kind of like this. It's called a Fiction League, and it's sort of a bracketed single elimination tournament. But like all the authors have to also judge, and so like you'd have a maximum of like 8, because how many stories could one person possibly read? So if you had 1,000 submissions, I mean, this is the biggest problem with the publishing industry. It's you have a ton of stuff to work through with a very small bottleneck. What if you made the bottleneck big by incentivizing it?
Wow.
That could be something to play with.
Mm.
Yeah, we could maybe do something like each round gets finalized on the channel. Could do something like that.
Yeah. As far as like,
always up for ideas.
And if you incentivize it, then it draws people's attention. So you don't have to market or anything. It's just like there's going to be a prize. You get attention when you offer something. I just don't like to do a lot of work for promotion.
Funny enough, which is the whole conversation we've had at the start of this.
Yeah.
Which funny enough, everyone's doing here. This is work for promotion, but just done in a way that you're not just being a salesperson would buy my stuff. Right.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And it ties in with the discussion about AI too, because one thing about this tournament, AI is accepted. Because I want to see who's actually the better writer, the AI or the human. And nobody knows until the end. So
that's right.
Yeah, throw a few red herrings in there.
Would you have AI judges, or would it all be human judges? Would you throw an AI judge in there for a laugh?
I think in terms of scaling, AI may have to be necessary for the collating of the information and data, but like it would be beneficial for the writers too, because not everybody's going to win, right? But they want to know like how they did, and they get feedback that's just from like tons of like random people, and that's so valuable to a writer. So there's no reason why anybody wouldn't want to participate. And if it's AI, well, I would enter just to see if I could beat AI.
For
that's what
sure.
We're all doing. That'd be something worth playing with, because rather than just moaning and complaining, do something. You know what I mean? Just put it on and see what happens.
Yeah, it's all speculation.
Clever.
Put it to the
Very
test.
clever.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Sue writes, she's working on novel 6 at the moment, just finished draft 2. It takes place in 1960, right before the first televised. Someone was at the end, it takes place in that book. Okay. Is it like a spy thriller? Is it?
Sounds like
Is there a
it.
horror element? Yeah. Is there a horror element to it? What were we thinking about, Sue? Said you'll type quickly if no, more like a psychopath. All right.
Oh.
Most people in the media are. They're taking over the airwaves. God, that's
Yeah.
I covered a story with our government's trying to do that with YouTube.
Yes.
They're trying to mandate that their channels that we all you watch the Jimmy Savile Club first, and any creator like gets pushed to the bottom. Like disgusting. But the fact that they're mental enough, instead of going, why aren't people watching our stuff? Maybe we better change. Nah, let's just legislate and make people watch it. Fucking no. It sounds a bit like that.
Shocking. Yeah.
Daniel,
Shocking.
what are you up to? What's next down the pipeline?
So I am treading into new territory. I'm going to be embarking on my first novel. I've written about 9 screenplays, and I've been trying to sell those, and it's just, let's just say more doors are opening for more of this kind of short story and novel ventures. So that's the path I'm going down. So this one I'm going more of an interesting kind of cosmic horror type thing and it's more or less structured in the version of Jaws, where there's this big thing that shows up, and it's up to this one guy who's very, very flawed. He's kind of a very despicable guy, and he, as he's learning how to take care of this thing, he himself grows and becomes a less despicable person. I don't expect people to really root for him by the end of this. Well, I expect people to root for him by the end of this, but they may not necessarily like him. I mean, he's kind of a piece of work. As I have a writers group, and I've been sharing chapters, and people just don't like this guy. I mean, he's a good character. He's a well-written character, but he's just he needs a lot of growing up. And this theme centers around kind of obsession, which we kind of talked about here in the themes of the previous book that we just all took part in. And it's like only seeing people's lives from kind of an outward appearance. Almost has everyone seen 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams?
Oh God, yes. One of his best movies, in my opinion.
So think like that. Think of my main character more of a the photo guy, but in this version of this kind of a character arc, he actually learns from it.
You ordered the wrong magenta. Rawr! Smashing this up.
Oh, that is. Yeah, but so that's the kind of. I don't want to give too much away, too much details, but those are kind of like the kind of the comps that I'm kind of going for. So think like if the photo guy had to figure out how to get rid of Jaws from Peter Benchley.
Not a good mix there. That's not going to lead to disaster. Fantastic. Guy, what are you up to, man? What have you got next time there?
Thanks. So, yeah, the old second collection I've been working on for, I don't know, 10 years now. It's amazing to think, but I'm 4 stories down, so I finished 4 of them. Maybe you'll do another 3, another 4, another 5, depending on how long each one goes. So yeah, I'm hopefully going to release this next year, but I don't know, no promises. I mean, I didn't plan for it to take 10 years. But yeah, I don't know. I'll see how we're going in a month or so. on the crypto fright, so
Mm.
talk
cool.
about some more progress. Yeah. I've got a little. I've got one of those. Got one of the stories up there on my Substack, which is Guy P.D. Armstrong at substack.com. There's a little Arthur L. horror section in there, and the other thing I've been working on is just musical stuff. So I play bass in a death metal band, so we've been going pretty hard this last couple of years, and hopefully have an album out one of these decades.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
Yeah,
Sue's asked what's the name of your band.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that.
So I'll type it. It's Slave Cadaver.
Slave Cadaver.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ah.
There's
Yeah,
a
so we've
couple
done
of those.
quite a few gigs. Just the last few years around Wellington and Lower North Island of New Zealand.
Choice.
That's one thing I miss about gigs. That some of the bands used to hand out like EPs or singles like that and stuff. And it used to be a collector's thing because they're only ever printed off that run.
Mm.
The gigs you never saw them again. You know what I mean? Even if the band.
Yeah.
I forgot, what was that band? Shit. They did Shove It and God, I remember them way back in the beginning. 2000s. God, I forget. They did the famous. You know the one with the girl sitting in the pool.
Deftones.
Deftones. That's the one.
Deftones.
Yeah, God, I remember them back in the day. Like, well, they're some of their first gigs, and like I managed to go on their hand, like their singles and stuff. I didn't even know it was a member of the band, but he was just doing it. You know, out of his. Remember the big baggy jeans he used to wear back in the days.
Yeah, I do remember him. Yeah.
Oh, God. And then I didn't realize it was part of history. Like back in the days when we were like doing shitty wee clubs, like even though it was a world like all over the place that had come to Belfast, like how they found us, I don't know.
Wow.
The wee tiny club.
Yeah.
I used to go to. Yeah, cool.
Oh.
Dale, what obviously you've mentioned, sort of alluded a bit what we're up to.
Yeah, I think that's just where I'm at the moment. Biography. I'm writing a biography on a filmmaker, independent filmmaker, Guerrilla Metropolitana. So it's actually really huge. It's big. It's big. Didn't realize how many pages it actually was. Anyway, that's been a journey that's nearly coming to an end. Just got some fine tuning to do. Other than that, I've got my YouTube channel. I'm thinking about coming up with a name for it, and so I'm working in the background doing my YouTube channel where I do reviews. I do mostly independent film reviews. Writing tips. I give out horror writing tips and interviews. So if any of you guys want to come on to my podcast and talk about that's another podcast down for you guys if you want.
Daniel, that's something you say you do screenplays. Dale has a massive network of indie directors she's works with.
Yep. So I do that in the background. I work with a lot of independent film directors and actors as well, which is really cool. So I'm just plodding along doing that.
Cool.
Yeah, so
that's what you're on crypto.
And yes, I'm collabing on the 7th with Crypto Fright. So yeah, so between all of us, we've
with a nice wee network.
We've got a nice network going on. Definitely, yeah.
I'll definitely remember to reach out to you. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so I think that's all I'm doing at the moment. Yeah.
That's all.
I've been quite sick the last week. We've got influenza going around. Wellington, it's really quite bad. So I haven't actually done anything at all this week.
Oh, and I didn't mention. Sorry, I should have mentioned this at the start. But obviously, Dale is officially the editor on this. This is.
Oh yeah.
If Dale hadn't jumped in, I don't know
Thank
how long
you.
it would have taken to get this out. Because I just, if you know the podcast, this thing has been mega busy. Like, just it goes through spurts like that. It'll go through months, or just there's no non-stop. Like, and then obviously collaborations and everything else, and it was like 3-4 streams a week as well as everything else.
Yeah,
it's just plus a full-time job, plus all this other stuff going on. It's just been like, So, sorry if I didn't say this earlier, but thank you very much for editing this and coming on.
You're welcome.
It really helped get this over the line, because I do spend time, you know, and I want the book to look good. I want it to be properly edited. You know what I mean? It's very important that these things don't go out half-baked.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's I can't thank you enough for that.
That's okay. Congratulations on your 5th edition. Anyway,
folks as well. Any to the stories, there's a QR code. So you pick us up, you can follow everybody, you know, go to their platforms. That's one thing. I don't know if anybody else does this, but in anthologies,
I haven't seen it. No.
But I just thought, you know, if somebody's picking up a physical copy, or even in the, you know what I mean, if you're reading this in an ebook, you can still scan your phone and, you know, go straight to the author's page. Because I know when you put the direct links in ebooks, sometimes they mess about if you don't have the right setup of the software. If you're not using it on a, you know, you can download Kindle onto a tablet, but if you're using an actual ebook, it doesn't necessarily bring you to the web pages and stuff properly. So just so that was the best way.
Excellent
for everyone to follow. And of course, the newsletter goes out every week, so every time I have contributors news of what people are up to, you know, I mean, publish that, so keep up to date.
And let Colin know if you're going on a podcast, so that then he can put it in the newsletter, so we can go watch your podcasts.
New releases,
and
not just through, but generally, if you're appearing like anywhere or a newspaper article, all it needs is a link and a thumbnail. You know, I mean, that's the whole point. Is that we've built over the last couple of years a fantastic network here, and cross-referencing each other's podcasts and other media and stuff. That's what we're all about. Is just trying to give each other a voice. And that's my main focus at the moment. You know, obviously, we turned 6 our birthday celebration streams in the end of September last Sunday. You know, our 6th birthday of the podcast.
Wow.
That's, you know, that's sort of getting ready for. I'm 5 stories in my collection of tales, witches, warlocks, and dark magic. Getting closer. In fact, the story I was going to put in volume 4, I've had to adapt so I can put it in that book, if that makes sense. Because that was, like I said, I stepped aside because I got that many new authors coming aboard and wanted to give them a chance. So I pulled my story back, but I'm going to stick it in that instead. So that's coming along. But it's just trucking along as usual here. You know how it is. As you know, folks that come back on a regular basis, you're always welcome.
Even
if it's just to talk about a movie, like Sue's been on, we talked about that Oliver Reed. Oh God, I forget the title of it now. We talked about an Oliver Reed movie. It was a lot of fun. I mean, that's always an option. That's promoting without promoting, if that makes sense. You don't always have to go on and be like, oh, I'm here to sell stuff. Getting yourself out there in the zeitgeist. That's just generally anybody who's creating. Don't get hung up on promoting as an advertising. You can promote yourself by doing something you enjoy. Just getting your name out there in the zeitgeist. As you know, these ran games and take part in games on the channel. Still love that board one. It was fantastic. And that was one you.
Mate, I wrote that myself. I did.
Wow.
I had a lot of fun being investigative reporters and Please Chill games, you know what I mean? So that
was fun.
That's just I know you're on other channels as well, but just, you know, being out there, just putting yourself out there in the world is how you get noticed.
Absolutely.
But there you go. That's it. There's another book out. Obviously, we'll have a chat about the next volume.
Oh, yes.
When we're planning to do it.
And what the theme is, I'm dying to know.
But there you go, folks. Glad to have you on board. Thanks for everyone for turning up. And yeah, despite technical difficulties, we'll manage it and get there as always. It's if you don't do this on a regular basis, it's hard sometimes getting the setup for the first time and all.
Mm.
I mean, it's the joys of it,
Yeah.
but it's we'll get here, we'll get it done. Don't get hung up about it. Some people could stay longer than others. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Turning up's the important thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, but
It was fun though.
No, and
So-
it's always fun to have
Yeah.
these chats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bit of a deeper dive into the thoughts behind the books. But there you go, folks. Thanks for everybody for turning up, and just as you say, until next time, keep up to date with the channel, do the typical things, and remember to keep it creepy, keep it horrific.